What up, everybody? And this is the BlackRose Filmcast. I am your host, Anson, a producer at BlackRose, and I'm here with our lovely team. Who do we have on our panel today?
Britt Rose, the director, producer. You know me by now.
Hey everyone, my name is Jasmine. You know me by now too. I'm one of the actors or actresses, I guess you want to call me. BlackRose Production.
Oh yeah, I'm Naeem. I'm the cinematographer, and I won't introduce myself next time. So, if you want to try to figure out, I'm gonna say, hey, go watch the last tape. If you're trying to figure out who I am. No, I like that.
Rude.
Can't do it.
Okay.
Go Superman.
Name's Tyree. I'm a writer and a recovering alcoholic.
I knew it. Here he comes.
Enough said.
We're glad to have Tyree on for his first time.
I was on the first Filmcast. Watch that one.
Oh, gangster move from Sam.
I'm sorry.
So, this week, or this month, I guess, because it's a monthly show, we watched The Fall.
The Fall.
And it was, this was this person's choice.
It was my choice.
Tell us why you picked this movie.
So I actually watched The Fall in a drawing class in college. And it was meant to, we were meant to watch it and say what appealed to us visually. Little did I know that this is going to be a really big influence in how I want to direct and how I visually want to show off our productions. So I felt like it was necessary for everybody else to see where I was coming from. And I thought it was a very beautiful, visually, and a very beautiful movie in itself.
Facts.
That it is. That it is.
All right. Well, you know, this is our film podcast where we talk about films. We're a bunch of filmmakers and we like films and shit. So before we dive too deep into the nitty gritty, I just want everybody to give their general opinion of the movie, starting anywhere. Bam, bam, bam.
It was stunning. Gorgeous cinematography. Set design was just nuts. It takes you for a ride. It throws you down and whips you around a lot.
For sure. I definitely thought it was pretty strong. A lot of strong acting. Like you said, the cinematography was on point. It really leaves you guessing and really wants you to figure out what's going to happen next. And I did not see the ending coming necessarily, but I liked how everything ended up.
I think it's a celebration of storytelling and the power that it holds. I think the coloration is also evocative of that of a storybook. It was a very, very colorful movie. It used a lot of color to its advantage. I kind of knocked the color symbolism a little bit, but that was just me being really impressed with how deep they went in with a lot of the usage of color and the symbolism behind it. But I think that it's a fantastic film that kind of shows not only an appreciation for the art of storytelling, but showing how it can heal and help those around us, and how we're all kind of characters, actors in each other's stories.
Hell yeah.
Whoa. I don't even know if I want to go after that. That was actually really good. But yeah, definitely the acting I thought was like really good, and the colors, with the symbolism of that as well. Definitely. Okay, so I'm gonna go more from the acting side of it. I did like it because it was natural to me. Like I don't know, I guess between the two characters, what's the girl's name?
Alexandra.
Yeah, Alexandria and...
The Great.
Yeah, the Great, yes.
Don't forget it.
Roy Walker, yeah.
Yes, they had a really good chemistry with each other. Like at first I was like, this is a little weird, he's old, she's young. But then as like more of the story was going on, I really liked the chemistry between the two characters. So definitely a really good movie. It was different for sure, and I loved it. So.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it just because it reminded me of like the stories where like I think when I was a kid I would enjoy it, like watching this child kind of escape from this environment that she's currently in, that she surrounded by adults or surrounded by things that children really can't get into, and then finding somebody or finding a story to get involved in to help her escape that. That was pretty interesting for me, kind of watching it happen. I didn't necessarily agree with the source, but as a whole, I liked the story, and I did find myself wanting to see how it ended, how it was going to play out. Like, at one point, I'm just like, all right, so how are these characters' story, like, how's it gonna play out? So it definitely got my attention. So yeah, I liked it.
Y'all want to talk about the child acting for a second there? Because that's something that could be shoddy sometimes.
Yeah.
How did everybody feel about it in this?
It was great. It was great.
I agree with Jazz on that one. It did feel natural.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it felt like we were seeing a child. Like, you know, there's like she talks in gibberish sometimes. Sometimes she like kind of runs on in her sentences, especially the part where she's touching his toes and she's lying to him about which toes she's touching.
Such a
because
kid thing.
exactly, she just wants to
Yeah.
hear the story, so she's gonna tell him anything he wants to hear. So yeah, I felt like it was natural. I felt like the first time I watched it, I was like, what is going on? And then
That was me the whole time.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Well, this is my first time watching it, and I got to a point where I'm like, there's a certain point in the movie where I think she does it a bunch, and I'm like, well, you know, it's not okay that I can't understand what this girl is saying. It's not okay that, you know, her lines are being like mushed because they're a child is delivering them, even if that's what how they're supposed to be said. I think it was a bad choice if that's the case, because I was sitting there wanting to hear what she was saying, and then I found that it got to the point where I was actually frustrated from not understanding her. So.
And now you know what it's like working with kids.
Yeah, literally the whole time.
Right,
What?
and not only that, in the
So-
beginning they reiterate, she's like, I did it in English, so I know that she's kind of going back and forth with her English.
I still say that for the story and for me as an audience member who was trying to like directly relate to this girl too, as just like her giving me the story, I got to a point where it said as a production call, I would have just said, hey, we need to make this girl more like understandable at one point. At some point, like I don't care how like artistic. I got the point. I got it. And then I was like, all right, I don't like it anymore.
Break out the tasers is what you're saying.
They brought it too far. Yeah, you gotta stop them. So no, seriously, that's how I feel about it. Well, at least for the child actress herself.
But Lee Pace had like good chemistry with her, and
Very
like
good.
yeah, they keep going back and forth a lot. So even in the moments where like I could feel your frustration of not understanding what she was saying, because there were times where like, what the fuck is she talking about? But then he was sitting there in the same kind of energy and like just kind of feeding into her and helping her out in other situations, kind of like you were saying earlier, where it's like she can't get into anything.
It was believable. It was
Exactly.
believable,
That's why I
but
liked it,
it was
yeah.
also like I was like, oh, this is too much.
It was annoying in the beginning, but then it was believable.
I feel like they kind of compensate in a way because, like, whenever you have a child on screen, you have an adult on there. It's kind of like an easy way to slip in simple exposition. So they always have to say, like, oh, explain it to the character as if they were a child. She literally is a child. So I feel like her accent, her mumbling wasn't really much of an issue because a lot of what he said was just reiterating what she said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
what
I
I
mean,
felt.
like, that could be clever writing, shoddy writing. Depends on how you interpret it.
Yeah.
It almost felt like directed improv in a way. Like they had a goal that they wanted to get to, and they kind of let her run wild, I guess. Maybe they tried, to have her say certain lines, but that didn't work out. So they're like, screw it, let's have the girl direct today. But I thought her message kind of was conveyed well, even if it had that kind of roundabout way to get to it. It added a lot of comedy to the film, where I bet it would have been harder to fit stuff in and make it work thematically without her kind of mumbling nonsense gibberish kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel that. Tone of this movie was a little everywhere, huh?
Yeah.
Like it goes to some dark places, but the humor is still there, and the realness is still there, and the heart is still there.
Like, it had themes of drug addiction and suicide and self-destruction, and then a girl talking about falling off a thing while trying to get oranges. Like, it really jumped between the two folds quite well. I don't know. I kind of kept in it, despite all that.
Yeah, no, it wasn't to the film's detriment at all
No.
that its tone was kind of everywhere. It really, I think it worked for what it was trying to convey, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of very evocative of like the original like Grimm's fairy tales, where like Disney goes out, they take those old fairy tales, they sugarcoat them, and they make them all like happy and joyous. But this is kind of like what Guillermo del Toro did with Pan's Labyrinth, where it's whimsical, it's fantastical, but at the same time there's like a dark underbelly to it. There's a harsh truth, kind of like what the pre-Disney fairy tales intended to do.
Yeah,
and I really appreciated that, and I think this movie is kind of serves as like a little meta commentary on that, because at the end she's like, oh, why can't there be a happy ending? And it is a bittersweet ending, and I think that's the best way to put it. It's like a very real ending.
Yeah.
They lose a lot, but they gain some.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also the whole point of it is he's trying to sugarcoat a really dark thing that he's asking her to do for him.
It's all manipulation.
Yeah, exactly. And so like...
Which cancels that out.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, and she goes through a lot too, like, especially the part where she literally watches a mother grieve over her dead child, and it scares her so much that she like pees at the stairwell, and I feel like everything in this movie just kind of like pulls together. So when that happens, the guy tells her like, when you're scared, do the googly googly, and they always harken back to the googly googly at the moments where she could be scared in the story that Roy is telling her. So yeah, I really liked how everything kind of like got drawn together in some way.
I'm trying to figure out when I discovered that he was literally just manipulating her to kill himself.
I figured it
I
out.
thought in the beginning.
I thought it was for sure when he said that.
Yes, and he says the word sleep.
Yeah.
Right,
It really wasn't until you said he keeps saying sleep, and I'm like,
Yeah,
oh
that's when I
yeah,
got it.
he
And I
needs
was, like,
more
trying to kill
pills to
himself.
sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was trying to like kill himself, but I thought he was doing something mischievous with this girl as soon as his story started like being bad. Like there was one point where he said that the brothers had escaped together, and then I'm like watching it, and the next thing I know, one of the brothers was captured, and I was like, I don't remember the brother getting captured with his friends. I'm like, this guy just added a whole nother part to the story. I'm like, he's not a good storyteller, so why is this girl now so interested in this story, and why are we interested in him telling this girl's story when he's jumping all the way around? And I realize he is kind of a bad storyteller, so it's like, okay, it's not about him in this awesome story that he's telling. It's got to be something else that I'm missing. So then I start trying to pay attention, like, okay, so what does he really want this girl for? And then the guy kind of got mad at the girl for being around, so I'm like, well, there might be a reason other than that. But I didn't know he was going to try to kill himself. Yeah. I thought maybe he was just like trying to, when he did try to get those extra pills, I thought maybe he just wanted extra pills. But I didn't know he was as depressed as like, I need to end this. So that was kind of sad. But I didn't think it was a good thing when she was hanging out with him from the beginning. But it did turn out well, you know.
Yeah, even he points that out though, like in that last moment where he's like, there are no good endings with me. Like he's acknowledging the fact that he's been really shitty to her this whole time.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't care, like I love you for what you've done for me. Like, so let's keep it going type of shit. And I do feel like it was really powerful.
Again, we're all characters in each other's stories, and we're all here to help each other out, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's...
You're either a supporting character or an antagonist.
Yeah.
Who was the antagonist of this?
He was.
It was him.
There was two. So there was his antagonist that he made the antagonist of his story, but secretly he was the antagonist to the girl.
The antagonist isn't always necessarily a character; it could be a force. So,
yeah. I only started thinking it was him when I noticed that I didn't see this Lord. I don't even remember his name. The big bad Odious.
Other
guy.
guy.
Exactly. When I didn't see him and we were like halfway into the story, and I was like, this character hasn't even popped up in the story yet. Like, he's not the actual antagonist. So what's going on with this? Oh, I know the protagonist, and I realized she's sitting right next to him, like this whole time. Okay, so I got it. It was nice.
Also, he tells her straight up, it's an epic.
Yeah.
So epics like take a long time to get to the part where you actually see the antagonist at the end,
yeah,
and that's
they do mention him a lot.
Yes, and you get a sense of him when you see his real life counterpart.
Mm-hmm.
So
wasn't the real life counterpart just the guy that wasn't giving him the pills?
No, it was the real life counterpart was the actor dude that took his girlfriend.
Oh, the actor took his girl. I see. I didn't catch
Yeah.
that.
I didn't catch it
yeah.
either.
I didn't.
I
catch
thought he
that.
was.
Cause-
Yeah, I thought he
Yeah,
was like
she
one
was
of the
waiting
doctors.
Yeah,
outside.
because
Yeah,
he
that's
was
what she's
outside
crying.
and he was
Oh.
Another guy was talking to him about it.
Yeah, no, the other guy was like, you didn't have to do this. You shouldn't have tried to kill yourself just for her. She's with him now, the main actor.
because every character
Yeah.
resembles somebody in the hospital.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah, because the Indian was the guy that was at the orchard, and then everybody else was either a part of his story or at the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
It took me a
which
minute to connect that
nation
too.
I'm sorry. I didn't know which nation that Indian belonged to until he put clothes on. When they said Indian, I was just like, all right. And then when he started swimming up, I was like, all right. You know, I'm still not sure. And then like Indian with a bandage on his leg, on his thigh. So then when he finally like put his clothes on, I was like, okay, so we're talking about actual Indians. So we're not talking about like Native
American, yeah.
So it was pretty interesting.
But like our roommate said, is that Roy could have been talking about Indian because there's an Indian Native American in his film, and he's
Yeah,
basing
he's
some of the
doing the
stuff
same
off of
thing.
the film. And she knows
Right.
Indian by the dude that's on her orchard that's from India.
Yeah.
And Roy is a stuntman, right?
Yes.
Right. So
Yeah.
that was the whole thing, is that he did that stunt with jumping off the bridge.
He took a fall.
In the beginning
Yep,
of the
it's
movie.
the fall.
It was the fall.
was
He
the
took a fall,
Yeah.
she took a fall, and that's why they're both there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They both got back up to fall again.
Yeah. But yeah, he was paralyzed from that.
Well, that montage of Roy's work that her mother told her that that he did was definitely necessary for me, because I was sitting there and I was like, so what's going on with him? Like after she leaves and she's back, in the orange orchard. I'm like, wait a second. So what's going on with Roy? And it shows that has a whole happy career. That she's affected him too.
He's
and
Buster
that
Keaton.
He's not
Yeah.
gonna drown. You're right.
Yeah,
pretty
when I
much.
saw it, I was like,
I was like, are they telling me that this is what happened to Buster
Yeah,
Keaton?
exactly.
Or are they just using that as a like, this is the stunts he did?
Example of a stunt.
Because either way it's fine, but
Yeah.
Buster Keaton's OG.
This is the original Once Upon a Time in Hollywood then.
okay, dude.
For the
When it said
people
Los
that haven't
Angeles
seen
and then
it.
Once Upon a Time, I was like, that's where
I
my mind
forgot.
went straight to.
Tarantino.
Yeah.
That even started at Los
That's
Angeles.
funny because David Fincher's attached to this, and I always like kind of put them in the same like category, not genre wise, but like in depth
Just like
wise.
style.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're very
stylistically.
stylistic, yeah.
Indeed.
Also, the Spike Jonze influence was just everywhere. Like his
Oh, yeah.
filmmaking just.
Elaborate on that for me, please.
Have any of you guys seen Her?
Yes, I love that movie.
I have not.
Tonally and visually in some sections, it kind of paralleled for me, and it definitely seems like.
It's very vivid looking, and that's very Spike Jonze.
Yeah, and it had that kind of the dark undertones, but the bright surroundings. I don't know another way to describe it.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm basing this off of Her, which is not a movie I need to talk about right now, but
I'm gonna have to look it up apparently.
Completely different movie.
But
Yeah.
y'all saying it's like the visual styling.
Yeah, it was very apparent.
What was everybody's favorite scene?
I was about to ask.
Yeah, so you're on the same wavelength right now. Because I personally really like the basically the rap montage where they're
You
dancing
would.
around the dude and they're like chanting and he gets the tattoos and the dude's like, Darwin's like, they're giving me a message, like, and it was edited together like a fucking music video, which means anytime somebody tells me my editing is too snappy like a music video, I'm gonna put this movie on and be like, fuck you.
It was
Movie.
literally a music video of ad libs.
It was a music video though, for real, like in the middle of the movie. But that was my favorite scene.
That scene was great.
What do y'all got?
For me, I think it was when they're getting married, because it just everything is coming in at once. I remember when I first saw it, when they're all twisting around and you're just kind of going over it. I just like was mesmerized, but the fact that they're kind of pulling in the fact that he's trying to kill himself and he's pulling that into the story, and we're seeing the guys come in and they're going in between each of the characters just so fluidly. I was like, this must have taken so long to do. It's just the most like beautiful scene I've like ever seen. And then just the priest's face transition afterwards.
Yeah,
Ugh.
that was real as fuck.
I would have to say my favorite part is the emotional part between Alexandria and
Roy.
Roy. I keep forgetting his name because I don't care about him. I'm just kidding. I love Alexandria. But yeah, Alexandria and Roy, when they're just kind of being vulnerable with each other, when he's just kind of expressing how he's not good. Basically, he's fucked up.
Yeah.
He's fucked up. And then how she's like, I don't care. I love you. Just don't care. Basically, saving him. They're kind of saving each other, which I liked. So that was definitely like my favorite part in the movie for sure.
For me,
Oh no, you go ahead. 'Cause I have no idea.
You're like, you saved me.
I'm thinking primarily visually because I don't know, everything that happened in the scene was very straightforward. Darwin dying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When Sue's like over the monkey, he turns around, he gets shot twice, and you've got all the stairs in the background, and it almost looks like the people are doubling, like they're going up the stairs, but then two are coming out when one goes up, and it really just messed with my head seeing it, and that was just fantastic. I think it was all very practical, nothing strange was going on with it, but it had that kind of, I don't know, that trippiness to it.
Yeah, it was just orchestrated really well.
Yeah.
It was just like it was seeing that like very beige background, the darkness of the characters coming in all in like sequential order, and it's just so like looming and dark, and he turns around and he doesn't give a fuck.
No.
So, this is more of like a story point, really, because if I were to choose a visual thing, that would be so freaking hard, because this movie is just visually gorgeous.
Yeah.
I just really like the point where Alexandria inserts herself into the story for the first time,
Yeah.
because that's really when the movie kind of like turns itself on its head in a really good way.
Yeah.
And it just kind of like embraces the collaborative art of storytelling, and just it's also just really funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the start of when she begins to save him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's a nice little twist, and it's sort of like, because the entire time in the beginning, he kind of takes a traditional storytelling route, and you think you know where it's going to end. It's like very like Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven.
Yeah.
And it kind of still goes there, even though he has his way a little bit, but Alexandria kind of like veers it away from a lot of traditional storytelling conventions, and it kind of like shows that there's always another way out. Storytelling is a collaborative process. We can all help each other. Yada yada yada. I sound like a broken record right now.
But that's the theme, though, right? And that's a good scene that kind of centralizes.
That's basically what brings the whole movie together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're seeing him really give up, and you're seeing her telling him,
control.
"No, you're not giving up."
Fighting for him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just kind of like where the whole movie comes together for me, I think.
She does say it's in my story too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At one point.
Because by that time, she's invested herself in the story so much, and it's changed some of the plot lines so much that it really is her story too.
Yeah.
It becomes a tug of war, really, between the both of them, and I think that really makes the movie all the more interesting, because then it becomes and then this happened, no, this happened, no, this happened.
Yeah.
And that just makes it much less straightforward. It's just a nice little twist in the whole movie, because you don't see it coming either.
At all.
Mm-hmm.
No, left
Yeah,
field
you
as
think it's
fuck.
Wallace.
Yeah, because she
Yeah.
just takes charge out of nowhere, and it's like, whoa, this kid's like learning like positive things.
It's me, and I'm like, how the fuck did you
No
get
wonder.
in here? Like,
And then you realize it's a story.
it was great though.
Was it Luigi that said, "I knew that bag was too heavy"? Like,
Yeah.
That kind of, yeah.
I love him.
It felt like, throwing back to the Endgame for a minute, it was Thor saying, like, the he was worthy.
I knew it! He could look at him, I knew it!
That was
Hell
some
yeah.
fantastic beast shit right there.
Naeem, have you come around to finding
Yeah.
a favorite scene? Or?
His eyes got so big.
It can kind of sound like morbid, but the truth is, I liked it when he thought he was trying to kill himself, and he was taking all the sugar pills, and so he's
Say
like
chill pills.
Sugar.
sugar
Sugar
pills,
pills.
but he did take the three morphine pills, so he did start falling asleep, and he thought he was gonna die, so he's like reading the girl stuff, and then I'm watching it, not knowing what these pills are supposed to be looking like or whatever. So I'm thinking, okay, so he's gonna go ahead and kill himself. I'm like, it's kind of early in the movie, but I'm hoping, and as an audience member, I find that myself at that time, I was really hoping that he didn't die at that point, at least so that I could see the end of the other world that they keep entering, like in the fairy tale that he's telling, or the storyteller that they're telling each other. So I think it was my favorite scene. Like right then, I mean, it was definitely the most gripping scene when it was like, I think he might die, and I think she really doesn't want it to happen. And then they play on it a little bit on the next scene when she wakes up, but when she finds that he's not dead, and then you find out it was sugar pills, it's a big relief. So it's like, all right, I like that he's still alive. I like that they were able to play on emotions long enough for me to think that he could possibly die or possibly something bad will happen to him. And then it showed that it was like nothing happened to him. So it made it clear that even though this character is like somebody who is a scumbag because he shouldn't have been using that girl for any of those reasons. I mean, other than just telling her the story. And she could have sat in the chair for that. She didn't have to sit on his lap behind the whole closed curtains. But, you know, still, you know, he might not even have feeling waist down at that point, so it's all good. But yeah, at the end of the day, you know, this guy who's presenting himself as a possible scumbag, he's still like, he's a human. He's kind to this girl in some way, and I do want him to stay alive. So it's like, I don't hate this character. So
I definitely
he's not a scumbag. He's just hurt. I mean, I think we can all relate to like that position that he's in. Where
I think
it's
he's
just
a
like,
scumbag.
He thinks he's a hurt scumbag.
In a moment of grief like that, where somebody really hurt you, and you just feel like
that kid
all is
almost
lost.
died, Brandon. She almost died in the last 5 minutes of the movie. Or 10
It was
minutes of
her
the movie
choice to die.
because he convinced her to reach at the top.
No, low key though, he did not tell her to go get the drugs that last time.
Yeah, no,
she
that's
did
what
that
I'm
on
saying.
her own
She
accord.
decided to be a fucking hero.
Yeah, but he had already told her, oh yeah, this is, she doesn't even know how to spell morphine. You know what I mean? He's like, this is what you're looking for. Go give me more of that stuff. Go give me some more.
He's definitely guilty for like manipulating, but like
I said, I forgave him after that scene where he died. Just before that, I thought he was a scumbag. Completely.
He definitely did a shitty thing, but I think that it's like totally relatable that he was in a really dark place, and like when we're in a dark place and we feel hopeless, we do shitty things, but it doesn't make us shitty people.
And he even feels bad about it because he's like, I'm sorry.
He's
I'm
crying
sorry
about
for
it.
this.
But he like cries about it, and I think that kind of snaps him out of it too.
This is like after. Excuse me, I'm just checking. This is like after. This is like the second. This is the second time he's asked her to get pills.
It was the time where he truly thought he was going to die, but he had the placebos instead. And he sits there and he's like, I'm sorry, you need to leave. I don't come down here. I don't want you to see me like this. You know, so he has a level of understanding, but he doesn't think he's ever going to walk again. Mm-hmm. The love of his life left him for the leading man, even though he's just a stunt man. So, like he just doesn't, and he already tried to kill himself before he even got to that hospital. So it's like,
I guess I missed that part too.
Wait,
yeah,
I missed the sugar pill part.
That's sugar pills or placebo.
No, I know.
The old guy was taking placebo pills the whole time.
What?
The old guy was taking placebo pills the whole time.
Yeah. That's why
so
he got
when it
upset.
snuck into this whole thing, then it was the sugar in there.
So basically, he was never going to die anyway.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah, when he started like getting upset and he's like, they're feeding him sugar pills. It's because he got the pills from the cabinet.
God.
Yeah, that wasn't from the pharmacy.
Because he thought he was gonna die. He was surprised he woke up. But he jumped from a train to a horse or something like this.
He fell.
Fell from a train.
He falled from a train.
So you know the beginning where Ansel's like, is this gonna be black and white the whole time? That was the production
of
like where he
you
fell.
Dumb
so
idiots.
he fell.
I remember watching that thinking these people are way too clean, and when I saw that dog, I was like, that dog was way too clean for any Western. And I was like, what is this? So it was like, okay, I did put together that was the production, but I don't remember seeing him fall. I saw a lot of people screaming, a lot of people running, and like
it was the reaction.
It was
the reaction. All reaction shots them falling. See, I didn't pick it up either. Anybody else pick up though? There were like dog sound effects anytime like the other nights were like.
They were like hyenas.
Yeah, like
hyenas.
Oh, yeah.
That's what that was.
Hyenas, yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
like, why?
Laughing, and I'm like,
when they were laughing,
Yeah, no.
What's going on? These jackals.
Call them jackals.
That's what they seem like. They like jackals.
All right, y'all. With all the things being said and done, it is that time where we all.
I gotta make it clear. The cinematography was amazing. And
you said that already.
No. You guys talking about visuals and all this other stuff. I'm talking about the composition every shot, all that, the colors and all that.
I'm pretty sure I
said
said
part of it.
Yeah, he did say that.
I don't believe you.
All right. So now is our time.
Then I second what he said because I didn't even hear.
You know what, Naeem? I'm
didn't
gonna
listen to him
retcon
the
what I
first
said.
time.
I'm gonna retcon what I
But
said. You go
I'm with
ahead,
it.
take the next 30 seconds to say whatever you want to say.
I think that everything he said.
He's like, wheel.
No,
was
retcon,
great.
retcon.
And I think we should go back and rewind it because I don't want to repeat what he said.
I just called a
Personally-
retcon. Say whatever you want to say.
Personally, I feel like that the cinematography was one of the main reasons I kept watching it, and that the lack of the shaky camera made me feel comfortable when I was watching it. It didn't make me, even all the intense moments, I didn't feel like a bunch of moving. It felt like I was in the story and that the shots were perfect for the story. It didn't take away from it. I never thought, other than that marriage scene where it was like some beautiful work, other than that, I never really thought, okay, the cinematography is totally taking me away from it. The transitions, they were beautiful.
The transition.
They did kind
Yeah.
of take me away from it. I was like,
That
that was a
one with the
cold
face.
transition.
The
Yeah.
transition.
The butterfly, that was good.
The
Oh, the
Yeah.
butterfly one.
Mhm.
Man.
So, you wanna-
All right, y'all, it's Rose rating time.
Okay, Rose.
Then we get into that time. We gotta give our Rose ratings. We give ratings and roses over here. Out of 5.
Out of 5.
Out of 5. Who wants? You go ahead and start. You pick this one.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a 4.8.
I saw that coming.
A 4.8 out of 5.
I was gonna say a 4. Definitely a 4.
Oh. Oh, wait, what were we skipping me this whole time? Listen, I'm going to give it 4 roses because I personally think that it felt like 2 stories happening, and both of them, all the characters were learning, and I enjoyed both of them like equally, and I think they both equally added to the story, so I'm just giving it like a solid 4. Let's say 4.3 because I really like the cinematography in it. It was excellent.
All right.
I'd say 4 roses out of 5 possible roses. It's a celebration of storytelling, and I am a storyteller, so I feel obligated. But no, it actually was a very beautiful, unique kind of story. It's a story about telling stories, so there are stories within stories within stories with storytellers.
Story.
Tell us how many times Tyree said story in the comments below.
Drink how many times he said sorry.
I'm gonna say like 4.2. It was so stunning that I noticed a couple times the visuals actually pulled me out of what the characters were saying. So I think it warrants like a rewatch almost for me to get like the other half. Like I feel like I watched the visual part and then the story was a second when I don't know, just 4.2.
They also do a lot with the visuals also. Like, I was finding more and more little, like, tidbits and Easter eggs, so I think definitely, like, just, like, next time you watch it, just, like, look at the background.
Yeah.
Like, that giant, like, sheet that looks like a guillotine.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
they like, played with the visuals a lot, and there were moments where I was just barely catching on to some of the little visual tricks that they did.
Yeah.
So I think, the visuals alone are worth a rewatch on this.
Wasn't
Definitely.
Darwin carrying around her box the whole movie?
Was that?
Wasn't Darwin carrying around her box?
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't keep that.
Because it was with the monkey, right?
Yeah.
And the monkey was her.
All right, it's my turn.
So it adds up. Makes sense.
I'm gonna go ahead and give it 4.1. Do think it's really strong storytelling, really strong visuals. It's not the type of story that I would ordinarily find myself watching, but it kept me engaged the whole time. I do feel like I like the improvisational tone of some of the dialogue, but I do feel like in some of the scenes maybe the story could have been a little better conveyed because I missed a couple of the things that really were important to the story. And so maybe that's a me thing, maybe it's not. 4.1 is still a really high score.
Yeah.
If y'all like this or whatever, come back next month when Desi, who is not here, gets to pick the movie. Yep, we shouting you out, Desi. All right. Peace out!